Who's ready to go to Peru? Here we go. All right, well, hey, this is Steve from Music and Ministry. Just wanted to give you a quick wrap-up on our trip to Peru, which was absolutely amazing. And it takes a while to get out to Peru, and so a few naps on the way. Look at that guy, sweet and cuddly. But we eventually flew over the dry and arid area of Arequipa and then landed safe and sound. Estamos aquí! Estamos aquí! Woohoo! So then we began to make our way to our apartment, and this is driving through. You can see all the mountains, and then what's called the Greenway, which is a bunch of farms that are next to the river. And so this is typical of the area. There's our apartment. There we were up on the 5th floor of that. That's Taylor coming in our door. And it had an amazing view. Look at that. The mountains, and that's a farm. And there's people farming that by hand every single day. Again, amazing views. And every day we took pictures of these amazing mountains. Just how many pictures? Well, there's some. And I'm leaving out about another 100 more. So this is the crew, Brad and Ruth, Sean's parents, and we would set out every day to various parts of the city doing, things like getting groceries. And that's really a great way to get acclimated to a new place, is to actually go. And so we would walk down to the grocery store at the mall. This was like their big center plaza of the area that we were living in. And so searching around the store, looking at new products, seeing new things, actually having to get some help from a local of knowing what things are, because some things are familiar and some things, like, hey, Duracell now has a bunny, just like the Energizer bunny, only a little different. And then even things like, hey, a moving sidewalk that goes uphill and then locks the cart in as you go. So most of our shopping, though, was done at these little tiendas, which are these corner market stores that are just everywhere, and they are stuffed full of items. So then part of the fun of going to a country is learning to cook and kind of living how they live. And so you're cooking on a stove and you're making traditional things. And there you go, traditional salad coming at you.
And we're making some like chicken with meat.
And then once again, the view. So we got in, got acclimated, got some groceries, and then went to church on Sunday. This is their worship team there. Great church at Mar Adentro. Pastor Jorge, one of our favorite preachers anywhere, really. So every day our schedule would be pretty similar. We'd wake up, have some breakfast, and then study a lot, because I had to go about 4 o'clock and would teach a group of guys how to record. And all of this was done completely in Spanish, working in a less than ideal spot, but still able to work. But we were able to record a song. And yes, that is a bed mattress up against the wall, but it works.
Es un poco difícil para los músicos, pero es la verdad. So vamos a hablar en otras partes porque estamos cantando, pero la primera vez en la Biblia es para sacrificar.
So I would be teaching in Spanish for a class every day. But with a lot of humor, a lot of grace, we were able to get our way through it, and a dictionary every once in a while, and some people did speak a little bit of English. So happy to report was able to speak, but of course we were also leading worship. So this is leading at the school. Every night we would do an hour of worship, and each time took a different flow. One of the big songs was Waymaker in Spanish. And our kids would help play on the drums, Michael there on the bass with his Peruvian jersey on. Here's another night where they were helping us out. We then led worship on Sunday. Here's a little taste of how it went. And this is our song in Spanish. So what a joy to be part of the Dunamis Bible School, and you can see the directors there on the left, Miss Tony, and then Brad, Sean's dad, on the right. And so each day we would go to school, our boys representing there, they would help us with worship, and then they'd go upstairs, and they had this kind of grass area, kids area, where they would play soccer with their friends. So though most days we were spending about 6 hours at the school and 3 or 4 hours studying for the school, we would go out on adventures in our other free time and days when we didn't have school, sampling the local flavors of things you can only get in Peru, which is ice cream on the corner. Our kids got to go to a stone quarry where they are still cutting these stones by hand. Met some missionary friends who are friends of friends. My wife took in a concert and, working on podcasts and driving around town and just seeing what makes Arequipa, Peru. We even got to go out to the beach one day, which is about 2.5 hours away. And then just spending time with some of their church staff and going to the open market. And it's fun having a Peruvian take you to places that you wouldn't know about or necessarily go unless you knew that it existed. And so this is like where you can buy anything and everything, all under a roof designed by Mr. Eiffel. So we'd also have lunch with the pastors. That was ricotta relleno, a very good dish. We even got to celebrate part of Sean's birthday there, and so this is them singing her happy birthday in their Spanish tradition. So after we said goodbye, it was off to Lima, Peru, where we were hanging out with Rudy and Gisele, and they were gracious enough to take us on a tour of the city. We are in traffic.
Yeah.
This makes sense.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It's a typical day.
So they took us to all of their Capitol buildings, office for the government, and see all of the Christmas decorations that they had out. This is us in front of San Martin Plaza, where there's a lot of historical buildings. We even got to see the changing of the guard at their version of the White House. This is where the president works and can reside if they wish to, and walk around the town and see all the beautiful buildings and get to know what makes Lima, Lima, and understand their irrepressible love of fruitcake that they call panettone.
Where are we, boys? We're in Lima. We're watching this guy snake gliding.
It's a little scary.
Yeah,
they're just like
flinging. Wow.
Yeah, they like turn sideways and stuff.
Look at all those guys up there just hanging out endlessly, and great place to just see the surfers and watch the sunset as we had some dinner. So then the next day was all about getting ready for the church service. And so they had gotten us a nice Airbnb room in an apartment in a nice part of town. And so it was interesting just to see how different the different parts of Peru could be. So we took the long drive across town to find the church, had a little trouble, went around a roundabout about 4 or 5 times. But it was great getting to know Pastor Guillermo Aguayo and his wife Milagros, who are friends of ours in Arkansas. And they pastor a church called La Casa del Padre, and are amazing preachers and teachers in their own right, but they do something interesting, which is they actually preach together on stage at the same time, each sharing a different point.
Diosito lindo, y creemos que es un Diosito, ¿no? Ay, mi Diosito lindo, Diosito, ayúdame, Diosito, págame chiquitito. O que Dios va a reaccionar como nosotros reaccionamos, o que Él va a ser como nosotros somos. No, Él es santo. Él es poderoso. Él es recompensador de aquellos que le buscan. Él es justo. Él es Dios. Entonces nosotros tenemos que tener una visión clara a quién le estamos
they were very gracious and allowed us to sing a couple songs in their services. But what was funny is that we didn't have any sound checks. So we just literally walked on stage and had never played these instruments before. And we're just like, all right, here we go. We had sent them the words ahead of time. So they had them on the screen and we're speaking in Spanish and hey, here we go. And God was truly amazing. So then for the rest of the day, our flight took off like at midnight. So they were gracious enough to take us around again. And we went back to the beach because we love the beach and the ocean. Just fun to get our feet wet and watch the waves come in. And soon enough, it was time to bid a fond farewell to the great people of Peru and to find our way back to the States in Nashville, Tennessee. All right, we're back here. We're in Nashville. We made it. So just want to say a heartfelt thank you to everyone who helped us get there, who's been praying for us as we've gone. What an amazing trip. Thank you for your partnership and for going on the journey with us.